Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with George Waters of Palmakers. We're talking about the first coffee with a neighbor this summer semester, and George has been to the Amazon. Thanks for joining me, George.
Thank you for having me, Terry.
Well, one of the interesting things you've done recently is go to the Amazon. And in conversation, you shared that there are unreached tribes, which just seems amazing to me in this day and age. And we want to hear all about it.
Well, before we hear about that, let me give you a little bit of background. Some of the last words of recorded words of Jesus Christ was that we should go to all nations and make disciples. That includes the nations of the Tairena Indians, the nations of the Cervantes, the nations of the Kaipo, the Yanomamis, etc., etc. And there are about, in addition to those, about 250 or so unreached tribes in the Amazon basin.
Now, if they're unreached, how do we know how many there are?
Well, we have seen them from the air. We have seen evidence of them being there. We've seen from other tribes know that 2 mountains over there is a tribe that we can't get to.
Interesting. Yeah. Unbelievable. So you actually went there, and were you trying to make contact? What was the...
Well, no. What we were doing on this trip was really a survey trip. And we were seeking out individuals in various training facilities, indigenous training facilities, who would be willing to take the Jesus film to those other tribes. Now, the Jesus film is not in that tribal language, but it is in a kind of a trade language, or it's in the tribe language that is nearest them. So maybe they could understand what the Jesus film was about.
Really?
Yes.
So, okay, so how long were you there?
We were there 3 weeks. We started down in Sao Paulo and worked our way over to the middle of Brazil, in southern Brazil, and then over towards the east coast and back over towards the west side and back over towards the east, and then up, ended up 30 miles from Venezuela.
Oh my God.
All of this was done in trucks and buses and airplanes on dirt strips and grass strips and boats, etc.
Well, right away, I want to know, what did you see? What kind of animals? What kind of people? What did you eat? How did you stay? Well, we're not going to talk about all that right now, right? What an amazing, amazing trip. And there's a lot that came before this trip about George Waters, and we can't begin to talk about all of it now, but that would make a good interview sometime. But I think basically your technological knowledge was being used here.
Yes, the whole purpose for my being on the trip was to take photographs and video, to document and to bring back information that could be used to actually raise money here in the States to support this project. And as people will see from the pictures and the video at the presentation, Indian tribes are as varied as the United States in terms of their cultural background and that sort of thing. The Cervantes tribe, for example, are the fiercest, strongest of all the tribes. They are like linebackers for the NFL. They do these enormous log carrying feats to see which village is stronger than which village. And not only that, do the men do it with 250-pound logs. The women do it with 150-pound logs, right. And they carry the logs 16 kilometers instead of 26 kilometers.
Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. Well, we only are going to have you for an hour and a half on Tuesday morning. So what can we expect?
Well, there will be a little history. There will be a lot of photographs and video of what we saw there. There are several interviews. We did some with missionaries that were the first missionaries to the Yanomami tribe.
Oh my God.
And the Yanomamis were known as the head splitters. If they didn't like you, they had this baseball bat looking kind of club, and they would just hit you over the head. If their wife didn't do what they wanted, unfortunately, they would hit them over the head. Sometimes it would crack their skull, sometimes it would just get their attention.
Oh my gosh, this is
But
unbelievable.
that was in the late 60s. That was just, then they're still killing each other in the culture that if you kill one of ours, we're going to have to kill, duty bound to kill one of yours. And that's what we're trying to do, is to introduce a different way of thinking, having hope and forgiveness and mercy and grace and that sort of thing. That, of course, the anthropologists are against that sort of thing. The anthropologists want to leave those indigenous tribes exactly the way they are in the Stone Age.
Interesting. Well, won't you join us? You'll hear more from George Waters at Coffee with a Neighbor.